They don't know it, so we have to execute.
Back at Maryvale High School, this guy hopes to follow in Darren's footsteps.
Never block behind the ball once it breaks, because it's already gone with Maryvale.
Jay Hinton, Arizona's top running back prospect. Each day, Maryvale coach Tom Bruni is inundated with calls and letters from colleges seeking out the talents of his star player. But an injury in last week's contest may force him to miss this week's game with Maryvale's arch-enemy Trevor Brown. 2 miles to the west, Trevor Brown coach Bill Mitten looks back on this rivalry, which he's been a part of since the very first meeting between the neighboring schools.
You know, the kids that come to Trevor Brown come out of junior highs that feed both our schools. They're very close friends in junior high, and then we split the 8th grade classes, and part of them come to Trevor Brown and part come to or go to Maryvale. They play on the same Pop Warner teams. They play Little League together. Their families have known each other. We even have kids where maybe an older brother or an older sister attended Maryvale, and then when it's their turn, they've opted to come to Trevor Brown, or vice versa. We have several players that their parents attended Maryvale. And so we're very aware of the names and faces of people that will be playing Friday night.
With the close proximity of the schools and all the family ties, one would think that the game is probably a friendly neighborhood contest, but it's not.
Whenever you have such a bitter rivalry and kids that want to win so bad, and you know, kids take this with them to their grave. This rivalry will stay with them for a lifetime. Sometimes walking to the parking lot or leaving the stadium, things are said and people are chanting and yelling, yay Trevor Brown or Maryvale, and so tempers do fly. And so there has been incidents after the game and that, and most of it is just because of loyalty to the school or their schools, and defending the pride of Maryvale or defending the pride of Trevor Brown.
Each season, Maryvale and Trevor Brown battle for the bragging rights for the title Pride of the West Side. And even for a guy who's played in the Super Bowl, the game still has special meaning.
Well, to play your rival, I think that's the biggest game, because you know, to play Trevor Brown, you're right down the street from him, and that's the biggest game that you could possibly play in. You know, that's when the stands are packed and everybody's wanting to see who's going to win that game.
Back at Sun Devil Stadium, Darren's family and friends look on as the Cowboys hold a 7-point lead over the Cardinals. It's late in the fourth quarter, with Arizona driving for the game-tying touchdown. On fourth down from the 30-yard line, Arizona's pass falls short, and Darren's Cowboys are once again victorious. From the Friday night lights to the Sunday afternoon gridiron, Darren's journey to success is paved with a mother's tough love. Across the nation, people awake each Monday morning to find an eyesore on their streets. The problem? Well, the handwriting's on the wall. Like many communities in the United States, West Phoenix has its share of graffiti. But if you're looking for it in Maryvale, you have to get up pretty early in the morning to see it. Each day, this team rises with the sun to wage a war on the walls of their neighborhood. Their weapons? Rollers and gallon containers of paint. The enemy? Gangs marking territory or sending messages to their rivals, and taggers using the urban terrain as their own personal billboard. Meet Claudette, Jerry, and Joe, card-carrying members of the Heather Bray Graffiti Busters.
The object of getting this off early is that the younger kids who idolize sometimes these gangs don't see the graffiti. And the people that brag about what I've done, the kids turn around and say to them, plain and simple, I don't see anything. So it's obvious you didn't do it. And that's what we're trying to do, is make sure that the younger kids don't pick up from the older kids, to be able to say, yes, I belong to a gang, and this is our logo. Plain and simple. And how many days a week do I do this? I do this 7 days a week, 365 days a year. There are no holidays. The gangs don't take holidays. The vandals don't take holidays. Now, what you're looking at, what I'm painting out right now, was put up yesterday morning. Probably tomorrow morning, it'll be back in another area. But as of now, it's off the wall, and the kids don't see it. And that's the name of the game, that the kids do not see this.
Graffiti is the newspaper of the street for gangs. Opposing gangs send messages to one another in a language all their own. Crossing out the initials of a rival rarely goes unchallenged and commonly leads to violence.
They come over here, they put their thing on the wall, and then they expect these people, or this area, to go back and put their thing on the wall, and then it's where the fight starts. So if we take the graffiti off number one, there is no retaliation, there is no fights, there is no shooting.
Before most of their neighbors crawl out of bed, these tireless warriors have practiced their motto. They put it on, we take it off. 3 miles to the east, this awaits. Late last night, this wall at an apartment complex was defaced. Ironically, management at this complex recently commissioned a local artist to paint this mural, which is now surrounded by this. But this problem will be taken care of by a West Side Ford dealership with its own cover-up plan. The anti-graffiti mobile is dispatched and arrives at the site just hours after the problem was reported. The painters are careful not to destroy the artist's masterpiece, but they are not so cautious with the new additions to his canvas. It's not a question of what is art and what is not, but the critics have spoken, namely the people who live in this neighborhood. And their verdict is? The taggers took no mercy on this neighborhood, defacing everything in their path. But just 10 minutes after the arrival of the graffiti mobile, the wall is covered. The reason why this dealership is offering this free service is quite simple.
Businesses, big and little, have to listen to their customers and understand that their customers live in the same area where their business is, and they have to get tuned in to the problems that they have and see what they can do to give back to the community instead of just doing business as normal. They have got to make an effort to help these neighbors and who are their customers and giving back and to help them fight the problems that are of mutual concern to both of them.
If you build it, he will come.
For Claude Maddox, this farmland represents Maryvale's field of dreams.
I guess it was about 2.5 years ago, then Mayor Paul Johnson approached myself and Mike Morgan, and Mike had already established his ability to put together the community for an effort such as the blockbuster Desert Sky Pavilion. He knew that we had the ability to do the same thing with Cactus League Spring Baseball, and he asked us if we would be willing to take on this challenge.
If Claude has his way, a team now training in Florida's Grapefruit League will call this proposed Maryvale complex its spring home.
If we brought a team from Florida, that means that all of those people that go to Florida during the winter to watch whatever team it is do their spring training will now come to Arizona, which means a new infusion of cash, and again, going through the tax base and all that good stuff ultimately means better services for us.
Tonight, from the stage of the community's prize, Maryvale business leaders tout the benefits of the West Valley to developers, realtors, and politicians.
The next real nucleus of growth and development are going to the West. The West has the land, the West has the structures in place, we have the infrastructures, we have the transportation corridors, we have the land available at the right kind of price. This is the very best kept secret economically, and it's not going to be kept for long.
During Maryvale's first economic boom in the 1950s and 60s, a one-story hospital was constructed to serve the growing community. Today it stands tall as Maryvale's only true high-rise. Hospital Administrator Mitzi Jobs has seen the transformation of both the hospital and the community.
We're glad to see the energy and the cooperation of the businesses that are really supporting and trying to change the image of the community. And we want to be part of that as we work to bring and change the image of the Maryvale community to a much more positive reflection of the actual community that it is. I think we get a lot of bad press that we don't deserve.
Actually, the hospital staff has garnered its share of good press in recent years for a program which has contributed over $300,000 to West Side youth.
The Maryvale Medical Staff Scholarship Fund was started in 1968 by 6 excellent and well-intending physicians to help give back to the community. We started out with 1 scholarship, and presently we have 32 students in college.
You notice when something happens, either it's on 19th Avenue or 115th Avenue, usually the name Maryvale falls into it somewhere. Sometimes you guys see that happen.
Yeah, I see that a lot. I mean, it's not as bad as people say it is. I mean, they take it to the extreme when they talk about everything, how it's so violent in this area. And
for Philip Wooley, looking out at this class is like taking a trip back in time. Things seem very familiar. But in the 10 years that have passed since he graduated from this high school, some things have changed.
Some of the things that I have observed is that a lot of the kids that go to Maryvale High School now have not grew up in the area like me and my friends did when we were going to high school. So there's a lot of people coming and living in the area and going to school at Maryvale that have not been there for more than 3 years, 2 or 3 years a lot of the time.
One newcomer to the community led to this woman's inauspicious venture into activism.
We found that an individual had moved into our area in his early 20s and recruited our teenagers that lived in this area to sell drugs for him. When my son was 13 years old, he was approached by gang members. They wanted him to join their gang. We live in an area that's only I think 7 years old now, so our development was only 3 or 4 years old at the time. We didn't have a block watch established because we didn't need one. We were a new area and we didn't feel like we needed one. And I was incensed that these thugs would approach my child to join their gang, and so I called the Phoenix Police Department and asked them what I should do. They suggested I form a block watch, and so I did it.
But Cynthia did much more than that. Within weeks, she had organized a march of 400 neighbors which passed right in front of the gang leader's home. A statement was made, but Cynthia was just getting started.
You know, block watch is a wonderful thing, but the city of Phoenix hadn't hired officers in 4 years, and our population had grown, crime was going up, and we really couldn't use the police department the way that we needed to in order to protect the neighborhoods.
Cynthia led a grassroots drive for more police protection in Phoenix. This crusade eventually became Proposition 301. And in October of 1993, by a margin of 79 to 21%, Phoenix voters approved a 0.1% sales tax increase to add over 250 police officers and 75 firefighters.
Do you have gangs in your neighborhood? What do you say to them? No.
All right. She then began a crusade to get even more people involved. First order of business, throw a block party. Actually, behind all of this fun and frivolity here at Westridge Mall is a crime prevention event. Cynthia became the chairperson, of Phoenix's National Night Out, an annual event designed to give a going-away party for gangs and drugs.